Hello there. Welcome back to the Force Collective. We are back talking about the Mandalorian season 3. We had to sort of you know, put all the episodes into just two streams. This is going to be part 1
Oh, come on, it's
and
going to be
Throwaway
three.
stream is going to be part 2.
Sorry.
All just for him. Well, anyway, so
Oh, well, then I'll just go. See ya.
no, we need you on this one too. We're missing Chrono. So hopefully he shows up soon. I really hope so. Um, but what we're going to do here is we're going to like cover just a few of the episodes, in this one, and then the other half I guess we'll do in the next one or so. Um,
Just
which
get through as
episodes
many episodes as we can get through.
yeah, basically. We haven't had a consistent streaming schedule for the last few weeks. It's been a little bit hard to do that, but it is what it is. But we're here now, and we're going to take care of this series finally. We're going to get it over with. Well, not over with. We still got part 2 coming up next week. So,
And part 3
I guess
the week after.
huh?
And part 3 the week after.
Part 3 the week after. No. Well, maybe. I don't know. It depends on how next stream goes. Because this stream we're having to cut short, unfortunately. But next stream, as far as I know, at this point, will be at its full length. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started. But first, we're going to talk about a few things that aren't related to the Mandalorian at this very moment. And that is what we saw at Star Wars Celebration. Yeah. Everybody ought to know at this point what happened at Star Wars Celebration.
See, I think it's good news.
I mean, I don't even know what to think about it at this point.
Well, it was kind of funny because there were quite a few people saying that it was going to be a Viking funeral for Kathleen Kennedy. But I think it's been a Viking funeral for Star Wars and Lucasfilm.
I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, I think it's very clear now. I think to people now, like where to get the rumors and leaks from and where not to. Because there were people who got what happened at Celebration correct. But there are also people who really missed kind of missed it on this one.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is though is that the leakers can only sort of leak what they've been given, and the thing is that you hear some of the people that report about stuff that's happening behind the scenes, and they're sort of all saying that what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
A sort of minor coup happened type of situation, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. That Kathleen Kennedy pretty much just went, screw you, I'm going to do it regardless if I'm allowed to, and just blatantly stuck her nose out at Iger.
Mm-hmm.
So
see, now that's where I guess I disagree. Not kind of in terms of what actually happened, not just because of contrary leaks, but because of how Iger has presented himself. I think who is it? Which channel? I don't know how many people watch like WDW Pro or kind of that Park Place circle
I
of
do.
people, but okay,
Yeah.
I like them because they're in general the stuff they do very well researched. They talk about numbers. They're like comparatively dispassionate, kind of in the reporting. The stuff they do isn't as it may not be as salacious, but it's been right. I feel like in one of those videos, the point was made that the Ray movie and all this is also about Bob Iger's legacy, and I would agree with that. If we look back as his history with the company and acquisition of Lucasfilm and kind of what he wants, Ray and that kind of imagining of Star Wars is very much a part of that. Now, I'm sure he does have issues with Kennedy in the terms of kind of these production screw ups. Like she can't get a movie like off the ground. And so in that sense, I do think, yeah, he's got issues with her. And also, if I don't, we only know so much as far as like what's publicly available about the whole Acolyte lawsuit and all that going on. But if the woman who was fired would also happen to have connections with Iger, and I get that all these people kind of know everyone, it's this small incestuous world, I could see him also having an issue with Kennedy over something like that too. But over the Ray movie particularly, I think he's got, I think that thing's a matter of pride to him, and he has some interest in having something like that go forward and be successful, even though if it can't, I think he's,
I mean, I understand that a Ray movie could exist or could be created. Really, probably shouldn't, but hey, just not with an activist director like the one they got.
Oh yeah. My point was for anyone who is saying that that the Ray movie was against Iger's wishes. I do think no, this is very much what he wants. Now I think he is deluded in thinking that he can make this thing a success.
No, no.
But I think it's definitely what he wants. That's the thing. He's kind of it's a similar situation. He's kind of torn between, kind of, he's got his pride to kind of preserve, and so to kind of make his brand of, Star Wars live to see another day. It's the same thing with the other properties that Disney's acquired under his leadership. But also at the same time, he's obligated to, get this company in better financial shape, and it's like if that isn't succeeding, that's going to hurt his legacy too. But yeah, that was my main point, is just that I think for people who feel like, if you just fire, and I think most people acknowledge this, but for a few who still don't, for people who are like, just fire Kathleen Kennedy and that fixes things. No, it's not just that. And it's not just you have to fire the whole Lucasfilm story group. It's an Iger problem too, as well. He's part of the problem. At least I think so.
And actually, I'm almost getting on board with, also getting rid of bloody Filoni.
Favreau too, possibly. I don't, and once again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but and I could go into a rant about that. If I were him or Filoni, but particularly if I were Favreau, like, he could pull some weight. If I had someone like Kennedy trying to mess with my stuff, like apparently as the rumors say that she did with Book of Boba Fett and bringing Grogu back and all those things, I would go so far as to just say, if you're going to do this, I'm going to quit. And I'm going to make a big stink about it too if I quit. And that'll tank your kind of your studio. Because, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I would have done if I were in his position.
Yeah.
Because, and maybe I just don't understand, but at least as I see it, he's got It's not like he's got no money. He's got plenty, you know what I mean? It's not like he couldn't be a success somewhere else or with a different studio. He could go find other work. He'd be just fine. He doesn't need this gig. Now I get that he may have kind of, this may be his passion or whatever, but if I were in his shoes and if a studio executive was trying to do that kind of level of meddling, once again, we don't know. That's what the rumors say, but we don't know, you know. We may never know unless they release the Lucasfilm files someday. We need Elon to buy Lucasfilm and just release the Lucasfilm files so that we can just resolve all of this.
Yep,
instantly.
there you go.
Okay, so let's beg him to do that. But until those files are released, we have no clue. But if that was true, assuming that's all true, that what I don't understand is if I were in his position, if this project mattered enough to me, and if I cared about how people perceived my work, I'd be like, no, we're not going to do any of this stuff. We're going to do it my way, or I leave. I pack up and leave. You're not meddling in any way, shape, or form, and just do this kind of like, go ahead, make my day. You know, if you want to do that, I'll leave, and that will instantly erode people's confidence in kind of, you know, those shows, that kind of Mandoverse thing has to offer going forward. Just have it at a standoff like that. So I am in part including Favreau in the blame for this, like, because it's like, yeah, I get that Kathleen Kennedy could mess up and sabotage theoretically, but you could always just threaten to leave, and that would tank the ratings. I mean, they're already struggling, but that would hurt them even further. And that's not something Disney can afford to have happen. But yeah, I forget how we got onto this, but
Oh, we were talking about Star Wars Celebration.
oh yeah, all the things announced. We need to place bets on like which ones will actually see the light of day. See, I think this is good news because Lucasfilm needs to. We're already seeing with Marvel's, and it's going to take time. The MCU's going through its flop era, and it's going to keep churning out flops. And you know, they've already fired, like the Victoria Alonso firing, or you know, we need that to keep happening. But that's the thing, is that Lucasfilm's in a weird situation because they haven't had a theatrical release in forever. And that there's a reason for that. Because they don't, you know, Kennedy doesn't want to release a flop. And I think she knows deep down that the next thing she releases could very well be a flop. But I'm sure like
pretty much guaranteed to be.
Yeah. And the problem is, Iger, on the other hand, and this is where you get a bit of an adversarial element with them, Iger's deluded, and also Iger he probably wants a theatrical release very, very soon. And so here she is, she's gonna come out with the Rey movie. And some people have said, oh, it may not necessarily be the first one, but I'm sorry, any Mandoverse movie, that's going to take time because you'd have to have at least, you know, a season. Maybe if there's another, you'd have to get through the Ahsoka show. There's Favreau says apparently he's got Mando season 4. He's writing it or written it, whatever. You got to get through that. If there's another Book of Boba Fett season, I mean, you know, so that'll take time to get through those things, and then to kind of start putting the big movie in the works. And I think that movie's also at risk too, even though I did a poll on this, even though they think that one would be the most likely to be financially successful, I think that one will also struggle because it's one thing to get people to kind of just sit on their couch, pull up their iPad and, you know, watch a show from the comfort of their own home. It doesn't take much effort to do that. But to get people to get in their cars, pay extra for a ticket, and go to a theater to see something that, for a show they may not necessarily have kept up with. That's the thing. And for shows plural, because that's the thing. It's just, yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that you've got to remember is that it's going to be a bit of a what's it, an event, I guess you could say.
An event.
Um, so people are going to rock up for that. I mean, the thing is that will it be financially viable? Yes. Will it make $1 billion? Probably not. Not even close.
No.
Will
here's
it be financially viable? Yes. It might make $1 million profit, which makes it financially viable. And out of the 3 movies, that one is the one that's at least going to make back what it cost.
Are we sure
Where the
about
Ray
that?
movie, yeah, I reckon.
I'm not sure.
Especially if they keep the budget really, really, really low.
That
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, the thing is that this is not the first time something like this has happened. I mean, there was the Serenity movie, and I don't think that really made a whole lot of money, but I think from memory it did make its money back.
I wonder what was its budget.
I've got no idea. That was
the. I asked actually a similar question. I think someone brought up the Serenity movie. And once again, I'm not familiar with that but I know a lot of the things people brought up. They were like, "Oh yeah, this worked," but this thing had like a tiny, minuscule budget, and that's the thing is that none of like Disney's studios, Marvel, Lucasfilm, they can't seem to figure out the budget thing.
Nope.
And that's I'd love to get an itemized like list for each show they've done, like where's that money going to? That'd be so interesting. But the other reason is I do get that, like, and I think I get how in Iger or Kennedy's mind, oh, cinematic event, this will work. It's just like the MCU, it's like the Avengers. The difference being the Avengers, like for that movie, they'd have other kind of characters, kind of these other hero specific movies at the box office leading up to that movie. And so those things were more in the public eye, and you had audiences who were accustomed to paying for a ticket and getting in their car to drive to a theater to see the thing. Whereas you'd have to change habits for this audience. And also, The Mandalorian's kind of becoming a thing. They've kind of made it where you have to do kind of more of your homework to get what's happening. And it was even the case for like season. There are a lot of. It's why you had a bunch of people who were like confused at season 3. Like they're like, "Why is Grogu back? What happened?" And because they didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, thank goodness for them. But yeah, but that's the thing is that I don't think they've done as good of a job of managing kind of audience habits and expectations needed to make an actual movie kind of ending this whole Mandoverse thing to make that successful. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The movie actually did bomb, so.
Well, there we go.
So yeah.
And they probably were still more thrifty than Disney is with their stuff.
Yeah, no, the budget was actually really quite small.
Yeah. But yeah, the irony is, I still think that one has more of a chance than the other two. Well, I actually don't know about the whole Dawn of the Jedi one. That's kind of a wild card. But
yeah, but I mean that very much sounds like
yeah,
a straight to TV movie.
Yeah.
Rather than an actual something you release in a box office.
But it sounds like the Rey movie is most likely going to be the first one lined up due to kind of schedule constraints that the other 2 movies face, either due to who's working on them or due to other stuff that has to happen before them. But yeah, and the problem with that is like, just looking alone at the box office, like box office for Force Awakens versus Rise of Skywalker. One was roughly like a little over 2 billion, one was a little over a billion. So you you cut the box office in half from movie 1 to movie 3. That's not good. And nothing they release is going to outperform Rise of Skywalker. Nothing.
No.
Especially the Rey movie, because Rise of Skywalker was a Rey movie, but it had the advantage of it had more legacy cameos than any of the other sequel movies.
Yep.
And the thing is it also had the sunken cost fallacy working for it.
Yes, it did.
A whole lot of people have seen the first two movies, so I need to watch the third movie just to sort of have completion.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that movie, there were definitely some people who were going into that third movie thinking, hey, with the whole, like, in the trailer, no one's ever really gone, hey, maybe they'll bring back Luke Skywalker. Maybe they didn't actually kill him, but nope. So people...
That would have been the smart idea.
It would have, of course. But we did not get that. So instead, you have all those incentives that are gone now. And Disney hasn't gotten any better at being thrifty with their budgets. And also, the other interesting thing is kind of even for people who liked the sequels or elements of them, there's still kind of mutterings about, well, the whole, what are they going to do with Finn issue? Are they going to kind of rehabilitate his character after what they did to him in 3 movies? And that's all rumor. The other one,
no, he's gonna be simping for Rey.
Oh, he is. Oh, and here's the other thing, and I'm actually really glad I sent out a call of maybe a week or two ago to find some new Reylo friends on Twitter, because I did. We are a Reylo friendly channel. We welcome all types, including Reylos. We even feature Reylo friendly footage at times. I'm sure you've got something, cue the shirtless Kylo Ren stuff. But so, like, one thing I actually find interesting reading Reylo content is like a big thing that's brought up. A lot of them are unhappy because there's no mention of Ben Solo or Adam Driver, who did an excellent job with what he was given. And a lot of people were, even if they don't ship that character with Rey, they did find him very interesting and would frankly much rather have a movie that had him in it. And I highly doubt that Disney is going to provide that. And also, I doubt Adam Driver wants to be involved in that at all.
Not after the Reylos went after his wife. I mean, if you're wanting to talk about toxic fans, I think plotting to kill someone's wife or get rid of her, so you can ship the two actors together. Yeah, I think that wins in the toxic area.
I have met there are good Reylos out there. There are good non-threatening to kill Adam Driver's wife Reylos out there. But yes, point taken. Like I said, we welcome all types, including child murderers and Reylos. So. but that is but honestly, of people who still kind of like at least some of the sequel movies, that's also another demographic that Disney's probably going to piss off with this movie. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just that there's so many incentives. All the incentives that people had to go see Rise of Skywalker, so many of those incentives are gone. And yeah, that it's The only way
Yeah.
that they can make money with this is if they really, really tighten up with their budget, and they can't do that. They can't.
All right, so I'm going to hijack this now because we've been at this for 25 minutes already.
Well,
We haven't
your
even talked
fault.
about the Mandalorian.
Your
Yeah,
fault.
I know, I know. I brought this on myself because I decided to talk about something other than the Mandalorian at first. I guess that just goes to show how interesting the season has been. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this has actually been my least favorite season so far. It has some cool
Oh yeah.
elements and all, but like I don't really have much to say about it other than a few things. But I'm going to leave that for later. Um, let's see, which order are we in? Sir AOA is underneath me on here. So, Sir AOA, I'll let you start off by telling me maybe like I guess your overall thoughts on maybe the first few episodes that we didn't get to cover already in the past streams.
So we're going episode by episode, or
Uh, yeah, we'll go episode by episode. We got part two coming for this, anyways. We're limited on time here,
okay,
so
We'll go to the next episode, which was what, episode 7, and I like how they did a lot of stuff with Coruscant over there. And oh wait, hang on a second, that was episode 3. Yeah, no, it was absolute complete trash. Um, uh, just yeah, no. Um, episode 3 would have been better after after the confirmation that Moff Gideon was alive. Not before, you know.
yeah,
We needed to see the Shadow Council before we saw episode 3.
I agree.
Not after. The best way I can put it was um, Captain America Winter Soldier. Now, with everything that was sort of happening with that, episode 3 was the lunchtime with the senator part of the movie. So it's the, oh crap, Hydra's got that far, has infected that much of US society. Whoa. But the thing was that so that was sort of, we needed an episode that was the fight scene in the elevator. And by the time we were at episode 3, frankly, we were still on the ship wondering what the MacGuffin was.
Yeah.
So everything about episode 3 would have been good after we knew about the Shadow League or the Shadow Council, or Moff Gideon's alive.
I can agree with that. Because the whole time I was watching that episode, I felt like something was off, and I just could not. I could not figure out what it was.
And I mean, what was really annoying was that when we got the Shadow Council type of situation, and the thing was that I think it was episode 3 where Bo-Katan sort of commented, "Oh, Warlord shouldn't have this many fighters," or something like that.
Oh yeah,
that would have been good as an earlier thing, and then episode 4 should have been where episode 3 was. Still had the fighters and everything. So you're sort of sitting there going, that's interesting. But the thing was that we then had the entire story with Coruscant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now I'm going to get into the actually, hit it, Shade.
Hit it. Hold on. It's right at the bottom. Here we go. If I'd only known you were going to
The
do that.
final scene in episode 3 is the most stupidest goddamn piece of crap that I have
Terrible.
ever seen.
Wow.
Just going off a little bit off topic here. Just over the past few weeks ago, we had one of the states in Australia had a state election.
Mm-hmm.
And they elected out a completely corrupt, bureaucratic, incompetent government. And the New Republic made them look good.
Mm-hmm. Dang.
Now, just so you know, the government that just got it kicked out ran massive over budgets, had land clearing, had the worst level of land clearing in the developed world. They let, during COVID, they allowed a cruise liner filled to the brim with COVID victims and just let them out into the world.
Wow.
Now, if I was comparing what I see from the New Republic to that government, there wouldn't be trees, there wouldn't be blades of grass left in New South Wales. There would be that much land clearing. Hell, I reckon mountains would disappear from New South Wales.
Dang.
That is how unbelievably incompetent they are making the New Republic out to be. And there is no way a government could be that incompetent. I mean, with the rate that they've written the New Republic to be, the First Order wouldn't need fleets, they would just need to rock up.
Dang.
They wouldn't have needed Starkiller Base.
True enough.
They could have just rocked up and everyone would have gone, please take over. Because I'm sorry, the amount of people, if all those stormtroopers were stolen children, and all the fleet was stolen children, that would be like depopulating entire systems.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even talking about the workforce needed to bloody build all those ships on Exegol.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I am sorry, this is absolute bullcrap, and this is actually one of the main reasons why the sequel trilogy need to be wiped out of existence, because there is no way a government entity, even being incredibly bureaucratic, can be this incompetent. And what absolutely pisses me off about that scene is, why the hell would you have allowed her by herself? A medical procedure's happening and all the doctors leave.
So many torts in that scene.
Just a medical procedure that could kill somebody is
Yes.
happening. So
Yep.
we're just going to leave the machine and walk out and leave someone that isn't a medical professional. I'm sorry. Bullshit. And this is one of the main reasons why I believe that Jon Favreau was removed from the story.
Yeah.
I do
Um,
like the theory that he's been purposely sabotaging the show with stuff like this to get at Kathleen Kennedy.
and what's absolutely worse? What is absolutely worse? Because it's not so much. I didn't have the problem with the repurposed mind flayer. Because if you had somebody that was like suicidally depressed and is like 5 seconds away from jumping off a building type situation, if you can strap them down and zap a part of their brain and then they're all suddenly not wanting to jump off a building, cool. You would use technology like that. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Having something like that, because I mean, one of the doctors went, "Oh, I've been in that." The I've forgotten the racist name. Akbar's people.
The Mon Calamari.
That's it. Um, the Mon Calamari doctor. Sort of. I sat in that machine and it was completely fine. Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. Because the thing is that there's a lot of stuff that could be done by, electrically zapping someone's brain.
Mm-hmm.
But to have the dial ability on that machine, just absolute stupidity.
Yep.
Absolute stupidity. And what's worse is that all you would have needed was Spy Lady to have a little button presser that has the Empire's sigil on the bottom of it or something, have her press the button, have the machine short circuit and fry his brain. Ah! It's so simple to make that scene work and not make the Republic seem to be completely goddamn incompetent that it's not funny. Just and still have the doctor's brain be fried, and still make it seem like she's one of the good ones according to the Republic. But I don't believe that final scene actually makes the Republic seem evil. It just makes them all incompetent along the line of impossibility.
Yeah.
And yet again, it proves why the sequel trilogy needs to be wiped out, because everything that was written about the Republic makes them absolutely, completely incompetent. And it makes the political world in the galaxy, well, it makes it a complete fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And it just bugs me because we have real world parallels that they could have, sort of looked upon and sort of gone, oh, so that's how people responded to X, Y, Z thing to happen.
Yep.
And they didn't, and now they're just making all this crap.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just, it really bugs me because the third episode is actually a good episode, except for the final scene. Um, but it
That's kind of a
needed.
big deal.
It
Oh
really
yeah,
is.
oh yeah. Um, but it needed to be, you know, after we found out about the Shadow Council, not before. Um, and it just that spy lady just no, I just did not like the character. Just it's um I don't know. For me it felt like for her, and I mean including everything that was done in episode 5, was it?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah, because 4 was just all about the saving the child from the pterodactyl. Um, but it's I don't know. Sorry, I've just sort of run out of steam here because um, it really felt like there needed to be more.
Yep.
There. This type of story would have worked better with more sort of knowledge and more framework with what's sort of going on. Oh, and one thing that I need to bring up, no, you don't reduce your bloody navy to a few ships.
Yeah, that.
Oh
Yep.
my god, you are still in the middle of a bloody insurgency. No, you don't reduce your navy to nothing. And I'm sorry, you know, with what happened in the First Civil War and the Second Civil War, yeah, the answer isn't return to what we did before the Civil War.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh, so much to say about that.
oh god, you know, it just absolutely bugs me. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm with the Doctor. You've got all this technology, you don't destroy it. I mean, yes, the Star Destroyers get destroyed. There is no if buts maybe. You do not want to be using those ships as a backbone for your new navy. That completely makes sense. But at the exact same time, you don't destroy your own bloody navy.
True.
Especially when you got warlords out there. And actually, no, I'm going to jump ahead to bloody episode 5 for 5 seconds. I'm sorry, he shouldn't have needed to fly to bloody Coruscant to get the bloody permission to take out that bloody pirate captain. I'm sorry, a squadron of bloody X-Wings would have taken that bloody down in 5 seconds. You shouldn't need to bloody... It should just be a case of, there are pirates over there, can I go and kill them? Yes! Just... Oh my god.
I have so much to say about what I think about the New Republic right now.
Yeah.
Why do I have a feeling that this is going to be an episode, a stream later?
Actually, it's a good idea. We can talk about. We can
We might
analyze
do
what.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the thing is that we'll be here until bloody. We'll be here for that 8-hour stream. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
But yeah, that's it really bugs me because episode 3 was actually not a bad episode. But it was just the wrong place and the wrong time to have that episode. And a few things about it just don't make any sense. I mean, I'm sorry. Probably the best time for episode 3 would have been to find out after about Moff Gideon's clones.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because now it makes sense of why you would kill him. Because that's a pretty big secret. That's a big thing.
Yep. I agree.
We have so much to talk about regarding those clones down the road.
Oh god.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, no, I mean I liked stuff about, seeing the mountain peak. And other world building stuff like that. And that's it is just so disappointing because it would have been a really good episode if it had been correctly placed and correctly edited, and they weren't trying to make the Republic so goddamn incompetent that the people would have rebelled before the First Order even rocked bloody up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop there because, frankly, at this present moment,
It's probably for the best.
Right.
Frankly, it's just going to be constant sort of without actually saying anything, because at this present moment I'm just so annoyed that I'm now starting to be unable to think straight.
Well, with that, we're gonna move on to Commander Tano then.
Oh dear. Maybe you should put up the dark side thing too for me.
All right. All right, hold on. I got this. This time it'll be faster. All right.
I can't believe I need this, but okay. So
I honestly can't either.
I will preface all of this and kind of my take on any episode with here are my biases. So, as I said before we started the stream, to get me, yes, I Andored this season, but I watched lots of clips on YouTube and I could reconstruct it practically without, But what would have gotten me to watch, among other things, one of the most important things was it would have had to have undone the Book of Boba Fett, and it would have had to, and what I mean by that is the Book of Boba Fett botched 4 major characters for me. It botched Luke, it botched Boba Fett, it botched Ahsoka, and then when we kind of crawl into season 3 and this atonement plot, kind of it and the beginning of season 3 combined botched Din for me too. And I will also add that with the 3rd episode of season 3, it botched the New Republic completely.
No.
It
The sequel trilogy did that.
well,
Episode 3 just made it complete.
yeah, it's like, oh goodness, like you had an opportunity, and you blew it. But so this participated in the botching of the New Republic, and so and here's where I'll say this: what's really funny as I think about this episode is, like, if I just am going by my personal politics, where I kind of believe all governments on some level are basically evil and or incompetent, this episode in many ways kind of aligns with my politics and my beliefs. But it's not what I'd want from. I want escapism from Star Wars, and so story-wise, that's not what I want. What I would like to see, and this is where people will get like, oh, but you were fine with like the prequels and with the Republic screwing up and all that. I'm like, yes, I was fine with that. But the thing is this is supposed to be a three-part story. Oh, hold on 1 second. This is supposed to be a three-part story where you have the beginning, where you have the characters in that beginning era make mistakes. You got this middle part with the original trilogy where they're basically triaging, kind of stopping, fixing those mistakes. And then my expectations for a sequel era would be, okay, now that we've kind of triaged those mistakes, we're going to now think about how to learn from them and prevent them from happening again. And each of those stories those three parts can be very interesting, but they come with different audience expectations. And so I don't want to repeat the prequels, and that's the thing, this isn't repeating the prequels, it's kind of doing it in a kind of subpar way. You know, the prequels did the prequels better than the sequels did. But that's the thing, is that I've got those are the expectations that I would have for the New Republic, and also for individual characters that would be in these shows, is that I'd want to see, I'm fine with the New Republic toying, just like how I'm fine with Luke toying with kind of ideas and concepts that may have led to the downfall of the old order, so long as he ultimately in the end learns from them and avoids them, I'm fine with that. I'm also fine with the New Republic kind of toying with, and once again, you could have, if you did a show, have some really interesting kind of debates in the Senate and stuff like this about kind of like, okay, how much military technology and how much of the Navy is too much, what's enough. Those are good things that you can have kind of addressed in a show like that, and you can have the New Republic, you can have the good guys kind of toy with making potentially the wrong decision, but in the end I want them to kind of be like, no, we're not going to get rid of all of our Navy for these reasons, and then they're going to in the end actually have a Navy in the end. Stuff like that. And that's the thing, and obviously we're not getting that. We're getting this all roads lead to the sequels thing. And it's just, that's not an emotionally satisfying story to me. And that's the thing, is and people are like, oh, but look, we're drawing a line to show consistency and how this thing leads to that thing. It's like the Clone Wars before the sequels. I'm like, the sequels aren't fixable by a show like the Clone Wars or anything like that. They aren't fixable that way.
No.
Because I don't care how well you do the journey. If I don't like the destination, I ain't on board with that. I'm out. That's the thing, is that I'm totally fine with the prequels having all of this tragedy and mistake making, A, because it was well executed, but B, that's what I expect for the beginning of a story like this. I expect the beginning to be kind of catalyzed by the series of mistakes and tragedies. But at this point, in this phase of the story, now my expectations are that we learn from and avoid those things so that our lead characters their sacrifices meant something and they have the happy ending. And I think we're clearly not getting that. And this episode is kind of epitomizes the whole, we're not getting that.
Yeah.
It could have been so much it could have been so different and so much better.
Hang on. Can I just stop you for 5 seconds?
Mhm.
Is it just me, or is Commander Tano sounding a bit grainy?
Maybe a tiny bit.
Okay, let me see. It could be my Wi-Fi because I was having some connection issues earlier. Let's see.
It's probably more be your mic.
Well, it's weird because it's the same one I've always used. It's just that comes with my earbuds and it's still near my face, so I don't know what's up with that.
Is it cabled and plugged in?
Yeah. I'll plug and unplug and replug.
Yeah, I was just about to suggest.
You're any different?
Much
Probably
better.
not. Oh, okay. All right. That's weird.
You still have a bit of gravel, but you're actually coming in a lot clearer.
All right. Well, I'll try and find a new one next time. But what was I saying? So yeah, this episode kind of epitomizes that. We're not getting that appropriate kind of story framework for the sequel era. They're not going to correct that. So yeah, and I think anyone who's holding out some hope that this series or anything coming in the pipeline in the near future is going to retcon anything, it's not. It's clearly not. So I wouldn't watch in hopes of that if that's what anyone's kind of holding out for. But the other thing where I think it really hit me, especially seeing other people kind of react and have questions about this episode and try and figure out what was going on. The other thing that it's really struck me about this season in general is it's kind of demonstrated where I just don't. Maybe there's a way you can do them correctly, but I don't see how you can do so many of these kind of what I call like kind of character-centric, character-specific shows and expect, because people aren't going to watch all of them. You know, they will watch every episode within a given show if they're hooked to a show, but they're not going to do that much homework. It's kind of the issue that the MCU is having with all these different shows that they stream. Then they assumed that a bunch of everyone would keep up with all of them, and they're not. I think we're seeing a little similar effect here. Because I think, an episode like that, kind of focused on kind of more this Republic politics stuff. It's not that, and I read so many tweets and reviews and things about people being upset, and I think they have a point about, hey, this is Mando's show. Why don't we see him? Why do we spend all this time with this? And the thing is if you would structure this show instead of doing a Mando show, an Ahsoka show, a Boba Fett show, a this show, a that show, instead of doing all these different shows, just do one big era-specific show, like the Clone Wars. Just make it era-specific. You may have certain characters that you see more than others, but you won't. What was good about the Clone Wars is you didn't always see it through the point of view of Ahsoka or Anakin or Rex or Obi-Wan or any given character. They would just, it was just a big medley. And some of these, you would get these kind of more like Senate Coruscant specific arcs. And you get some of these more sort of political debate plots, in that show. But you never felt like, oh, darn it, it's like, why are they spending this time on this Senate debate during Ahsoka's show or during Anakin's show? Because it wasn't anyone's show. It managed audience expectations, and that way too, you don't have to shoe in Din or Bo-Katan or anyone into a plot where they don't fit. You didn't have to do anything to loosely tie it to The Mandalorian. If Lucasfilm had just done that for this era, you'd have so much less confusion for people who didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett or any of the other stuff that's coming down the pipeline. It would just be, you'd manage audience expectations better, and then that way you also wouldn't have to, and I get that marketing would want to do this, but you don't have to shoehorn, the Mandalorian or Grogu into plots they don't fit. It's just, or any character. Then you don't have people kind of arguing or bickering over, whether this should be about Bo-Katan or Din or what. It's like, no, everyone can get their own arc. You can get an arc. You can get an arc. You can get a character arc. And
everyone gets a character arc.
Yes, everyone can be happy. And the fun thing is then you can also combine characters in different arcs where you see fit, where it would work, and where it would be fun. It's like you can kind of experiment with that. And as the show goes by with each season, you can kind of gauge audience reactions and figure out what they tend to like. And you can kind of fine tune it accordingly with each season if you put in enough time between production. But they didn't do that because reasons. And I get why they did all these character-centric shows, because from a short-term marketing standpoint, sure, it makes sense. You can create the illusion. You can create the illusion to customers and shareholders that, oh, look at all this content we're producing. We're producing 10 dozen shows. So that's good optics from a marketing perspective, but long-term from a kind of audience satisfaction and retention perspective, that's a bad idea. But yeah, that's all I have to say. That's my 2 cents.
Well,
episode 3.
Of episode 3.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we're not getting past episode 3 in this 3.
Yeah.
Wait till we get to 6.
Oh god.
Isn't that the one with Lizzo in it?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
I might have to rewatch that because I was being distracted quite a bit during that episode, and I don't really remember much about it now.
There's not much you need to remember.
I don't know if I want to, but yeah, I might refresh myself on that particular one just for that discussion.
Well,
anyway,
let's hear what you need to say about episode 3, and then we'll probably have to end it there.
Okay, so my thoughts on the 3rd episode. It was really nice to see some certain things about life in the New Republic. There was things that were very off-putting to me, though, like how some of the the upper class people talked about, we lived under one regime and now we're under another one. I mean, it's hard to tell the difference between them. And I'm starting to think this don't feel like the New Republic that I read about in the EU, which, I liked Heir to the Empire and all that stuff, and they dived really deep into the setting up of the New Republic. Because by this time, because it's the same, it's 5 years after episode 6, same as the Mandalorian here. It's 5 years, and the New Republic is still struggling to get set up, and it really felt like, there was heart in it, and not just like a bunch of people there half-heartedly doing their jobs. And I mean, just to, take a future look at, I think it was the 5th episode that you were talking about earlier, how whatever his name was, the Ranger of the New Republic, that guy, how he was having to request to get help for somebody. The rebellion that we know of would not have hesitated to help somebody in need. Leia wouldn't have hesitated.
I didn't even think about that, but then again, I wasn't really thinking about episode 5.
True. So, honestly, this could be a whole stream in general. I have a lot to say about the treatment of the New Republic in this, in not only this episode, but in, the upcoming ones. So, I mean, maybe they'll change. I don't know. But it was giving me a lot of vibes from, how Andor and Cyril, I think is his name or whatever, Cyril, something like that. How he was doing an office job. It was very similar. You can it was an imperial office job, and the people that he was working with, they acted no differently than the ones for the New Republic, and it's really like
Yeah, but I
it
mean, the
does feel
thing
like
is,
there's no difference.
but I mean, the question. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, the question you need to ask is that would there be any difference in the bureaucracy?
Maybe, maybe not.
Because I mean, we didn't exactly get to see the worker drones of the New Republic. Sorry, of the Old Republic.
True.
Because the thing is that you just think about all the departments of insert word, Department of Education, Department of Transportation, Department of Water, Department of all that. There wouldn't be much difference between governmental changes.
Mm-hmm.
And there really, frankly, shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So, the office spaces, that they wouldn't have really changed that much. There wouldn't have been much of a difference between what the Imperial Bureau of something was doing and the New Republic's Bureau of something.
Well, the way
why?
I was
Because
looking at it,
they're a bureaucracy of a bloody intergalactic government. So of course they're going to be large and pretty much at a computer station.
well, I mean, the way I was looking at it is like, we come from seeing, the rebellion being led by, Mon Mothma, Princess Leia, all of them, and now they're in control. Well, technically we don't know who's leading the New Republic, even though most likely we can infer who's leading it.
Yes.
Oh, well.
But yes, no, there is a, and we've lost someone.
Yeah, I just now noticed.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I read.
Okay.
Sorry, hang on a second. Oh god, I forgot what I was going to say now. What was I about to say? What was I saying before that?
I think it had some. Well, what I was saying right before you wanted to say something was, I think we can infer who's in charge of this whole thing. I mean, we haven't
that's
seen,
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that the talent that we saw in the in the Rebel Alliance, we're not seeing in the New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, that's about it. We're really not seeing. We're not seeing the Rebel Alliance in the New Republic at all.
Yeah, they're almost like unrecognizable at this point. Now, we've not gotten much of the New Republic, so
no, we've got enough of the New Republic to state that pretty certain.
You're probably right.
We haven't seen it on TV, but there is enough material out there that we've seen the New Republic, and there is no Rebel Alliance in the New Republic.
Yeah.
Sorry. Only the surface level stuff. Sort of like they're all flying X-wings and Y-wings and stuff like that. That's it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, moving away from that, because that's like a whole discussion in itself, and like I said, I might do a whole stream just analyzing the New Republic at this point. Other than that, the whole episode, I felt like something was going to go wrong the entire episode. I knew that nothing felt right. I really didn't like the little robot thing that he had to keep going to either. It felt more like a brainwashing than anything else, and I feel like that's not something the New Republic would have done. But then again, it's also like they were Imperial, and they were
but I mean
sort of
the thing
brainwashed.
is that but I mean the thing is that it's a misidentification of how the rank and file would be operating in something like the Empire. I mean, for the true believers, you probably would need something like that. Just to make, what I'm trying to get at is that they're making them out as cult members rather than employees of the Empire.
Yeah.
And yet again, we don't have enough information about those characters to correctly ascribe motivation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word. So I mean, actually, the best way of putting it, you would need something like the amnesty program for stormtroopers. You wouldn't need it for the Imperial Army.
Yeah.
And at this present moment, the shows are making it feel like the show's making it like everyone's being treated like they're stormtroopers instead of just people that signed up to serve in the army. And that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because I mean the thing is that for just using the army analogy for a second, someone that signed up for the army, you wouldn't, no, that probably doesn't work. Sorry, I've just sort of lost track of my thought.
It's all right.
But someone that might have signed up for the army might have just sort of gone, things are a little bit stuffed and I would like to, work for the better good type of situation. You could have almost had that person in the police force or in, half a dozen different jobs, but he just decided to sign up for the army, where people like stormtroopers have been indoctrinated quite heavily into a certain mindset. So you'll need to sort of deprogram them and then just make sure that the programming sticks. So that's why, something like rocking up to the robot all the time makes sense.
Yeah.
But the thing is that because we don't know the Doctor's motivation for joining the Empire, and from the sound of it, it just sounded more like they had a job opening for me and they would allow me to study what I wanted to study. So I signed up, rather than, I think the Emperor's a god and I am going to follow him until my dying breath. But the thing is that the story was treating the Doctor like that, rather than sort of half of the story that was sort of coming out of his mouth of, they just allowed me to study this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you're completely right about that.
Of course,
That
I am.
is
It's me.
Well, that's the second narcissist I know in my life now.
No. It is just,
I'm just kidding. My sister's very much the
lots
same.
of experience.
Oh goodness. But I mean, all jokes aside, though, like, the episode itself wasn't terrible. The ending, I don't even need to say anything else about that, because you sort of already explained my thoughts on all that. I also didn't like how the Mon Calamari guy was like talking it up to be like the greatest procedure ever. All for it to just end with him actually, like, getting his brain wiped out.
Yeah.
Because they're all incompetent and can't stay in the room during a medical procedure. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm not going to say anything else. That's a rant. And I don't honestly have time for like a full-on rant right now. So, other than,
especially seeing how you'd be probably repeating everything that we've already said.
Yeah, exactly. The season hasn't been my favorite. It had some really good moments and all that stuff every once in a while, but like, it's not my favorite season. I like season 2 better, but that's just me. And I thought season 2 was the perfect way to like
get rid of Grogu.
Yes. Like, we can make a whole stream about like why it was wrong to bring Grogu back. And we could there's so many topics we can, do. And you know what? Since we don't have another show until a little later this year, that's probably what we'll end up doing, is doing like longer analysis type Star Wars topics episodes, talking about things like that. Woo-hoo! So, yeah. We're going back to the old Star Wars topics where we have a topic. Not 5 topics. Not 5 topics. Just a topic. Yeah, gosh, we've been doing this for 2 years now. 2 years. And, we never did do the anniversary stream, which, things got so chaotic around that time for me. I completely forgot all about it. But just thinking about it, 2 years, and thinking about where we started with it, how it was going and all that stuff, it's crazy to think about. But we still got hopefully a lot longer to go.
Well, not with the way Lucasfilm's going.
Well, yeah, I might have to switch from the Force Collective to just the Anything Else Collective.
Yeah.
Because, like, I will not review that Rey movie. I refuse, because I do not consider the sequel trilogy canon. I have a lot to say about the later episodes as well, that of the Mandalorian, and it's going to really match up with what I just said there too. Like, they're starting to tie it in with the sequel trilogy with little things like Hux's dad and all that stuff. Yeah, not getting into that one yet. That's for later. I'm just
we need an episode with Hux's wife, and they're in a ship and the ship blows up.
Yeah. We really need something, though. We really need something that will discredit the existence of the sequel trilogy, because, like, it's not I know there's fans of it, and more power to you. Like it, you like it. I personally like episode 7. I don't like anything after that. I would have considered episode 7 part of the canon if the last 2 episodes after that weren't terrible.
The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker.
Exactly. It took The Rise of Skywalker for me to realize how bad it was. Not realize how bad it was, but more like to realize that I could just not count that as canon.
Oh, it was the first. It was like the first half an hour of The Last Jedi that I went, yeah, no, turn off.
Well, anyways, I think that's all I'm going to say about the 3rd episode, though, because everything else would just be a repeat of everything we've already talked about. I don't really need to say much more. I have very similar thoughts. I did enjoy a few things, but I'm short on time, so we're going to end it right here. I'm glad that Soraya Way and previously Commander Tano being here. I was glad they're both here, and we'll see you in the next stream. We got links in the description below. You can go down there, join the Discord. Look at you can follow me on Twitter, all that stuff. I usually try to tweet out when we do streams and all that. But yeah, if you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment, maybe subscribe if you want to, and we'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, and have a good night.